Hello everybody, welcome back to Learning Biology. Today we are going to start chapter 18. 咁就開始第18課啦. So chapter 18 is only teaching you one word, and that word is homeostasis. 自己都讀啦 homeostasis. 咁即係代表體內平衡啦. So there is this very simple example in our daily life. That is, when we are feeling hot, 當我哋覺得熱嗰陣時啦 we will sweat. And when we are feeling cold, then we will shiver. 咁我哋就會打冷震啦. Okay, so this one is actually, as I've told you several times, we are going to teach this in detail in book 5. 咁第5本書嗰陣時詳細咁樣講嘅. Alright? So first of all, some definition about homeostasis. What exactly is homeostasis? So we need this word, 就係我哋嘅 maintain, 自己都讀啦 maintain. So this one is of course not maintain, but maintain is a verb. Okay, so it is a verb. 中文就係維持啦. So this one is called the maintenance. Maintenance 即係維持啦, but this time it is a noun. So you are trying to maintain a constant internal environment in your body. 你嘗試去維持一個係 constant 持續嘅 internal environment 內部嘅一個環境啦. Alright, and that one is so called the homeostasis. Alright. 好啦喎, so what is this internal environment? So when we talk about the internal environment of a human, 喺一個人類入邊啦, so what is that? 咁我哋會 mainly focus on two things. One of them is the blood. Okay, 個血會流到去邊度啦? And the other one, so always remember that the blood will not be able to reach the body cells. Our body cells are not swimming in blood. 佢唔係喺血入邊游嚟游去㗎嘛. So where are they swimming? Okay, they are swimming in the tissue fluid. 佢喺呢個嘅組織液入邊咧，去游嚟游去嘅。Alright, and how does this tissue fluid form? 點樣形成嘅咧? So this is like chapter 8, I think. Okay, the difference between tissue fluid and blood is that, first of all, can you tell me what is the color of tissue fluid? 佢咩顏色嘅咧? So tissue fluid is like slightly yellow, 少少輕輕淺黃色啦. But you don't find any red color. Okay, 由於冇 red color 啦. Therefore, we know that the difference between tissue fluid and blood is that tissue fluid do not or does not have one thing, blood cells. Okay, 佢唔會有任何嘅血細胞㗎. And by blood cells, we're talking about red blood cells and blood platelets. Okay, blood platelets 自己可以讀一讀啦. That is 血小板. But we know that blood platelets is a lot smaller than red blood cells, but they are still not present in the tissue fluid. But one thing is that there is one exception, is the white blood cell. White blood cell can change their shape. Okay, so therefore they can squeeze through the capillaries. 佢能夠穿過一個嘅微絲血管 and get into the tissue fluid. Alright? They can change their shape and therefore squeeze through the capillaries. Okay, so that is the difference between tissue fluid and the blood. Just remember that where can you find the body cells? Never in the blood, but always in the tissue fluid. Okay? 好啦，咁然後咯, therefore we have this homeostasis, trying to give us a stable environment. And why is this important? Because so that our cells, 我哋嘅細胞啦，就能夠 survive, 生存啦, and they can function normally, 就能夠正常咁樣去運作啦. Okay? Otherwise there will be some bad effects. Okay, 好啦，咁然後咯, so homeostasis is actually happening every minute, every second. 每秒鐘進行緊嘅. And this one actually requires energy because we're trying to fight against the external environment. 我哋嘗試同外在環境啦係對抗緊嘅. Alright, so we are like for example, if the weather is too hot, our body cannot be getting as hot. 唔能夠好似外在環境咁熱啦. So therefore, we need to fight against it. And then we will try to cool down our body. And this one is like when you're fighting against the external environment. 當你同外在環境抗衡嗰陣時啦, this one will require energy. 需要一個能量啦. Okay? And there are different parameters. And in this chapter, we're going to focus on 4 parameters. So as in book 5 with 4 parameters as well. Okay? But we'll talk about that in detail later. So first one, 第一個我哋要注重嘅 parameter 即係個參數啦 ，and that is the body temperature. Okay, 我哋嘅體內溫度啦。So we always need to know two things. One of them is what is the effect if we do not maintain a constant parameter. 如果接落嚟個參數冇維持 constant, so what will happen? 有啲咩後果呢 Okay, and we're mainly focusing on that part. So first one, body temperature. 我哋就會講到啦，其實 a lot of metabolism 啦，或者 metabolic activities 啦，都係 regulated 或者 controlled， 係由乜嘢控制住嘅咧 ？By enzymes. And when we talk about enzyme, this is like chapter 4. I want you to be able to remember some of the some of the features about the enzymes. Okay? And this is quite important so as for your revision. 因為同你個溫書相關嘅。For example, we need to know that they are reusable. Okay, you can recycle them so that the enzyme will not disappear. And then the next thing, what are they in nature? 佢哋嘅本質係啲乜嘢咧 So when we talk about the enzyme, they are protein in nature. Okay? And then continue. 好啦，仲有啲乜嘢啊 So they are having a narrow range of a lot of things. For example, they have a narrow range of temperature, they have a narrow range of pH, okay, so on and so forth. Okay, so these are some of the examples about the features of enzyme which I want you to remember. Okay, you can go back to chapter 4 for more details. 咁就可以睇一睇返第4課啦。Okay, 好啦，咁然後咯喎 So this time we are focusing on the enzyme because it's controlling our metabolism， 影響緊我哋嘅新陳代謝㗎嘛。So 我哋就會講到啦。The enzymes only work in a narrow range of temperatures. 佢只係一個特定嘅溫度區域嘅啫 which is around 37 degrees Celsius. Alright? 好啦，所以咯 we need a stable body temperature 啦，從而去 keep them alive. Okay? Keep them alive 係生存緊先啦，而且係 regulate 去 maintain 到一個 metabolic rate 嘅，維持到一個正常新陳嘅代謝嘅速率嘅。Alright? 好啦，咁然後咯，however, if this body temperature is not regulated, 例如 at what moment 啊，喺咩情況之下 is not regulated? Just like when we're having a fever, alright? Or when we're feeling super cold internally. 咁我哋就會無論發冷發熱啦 ，okay? In those cases, our body temperature is not regulated, okay? Due to some pathogens attack, 有啲嘅病原體入咗入嚟啦 ，okay? So therefore, we may have heat stroke. 中暑啦 when the body temperature is too high, or the hypothermia 自己都有讀啦 heat stroke. Hypothermia 就係體溫過低啦 Okay, so there is a lot of mechanism inside, and one of the key receptor or the key detector of the temperature is our skin. Alright, so of course our brain also plays a large part in regulating the body temperature, but we'll talk about that in detail in book 5. 得唔得? And then we move on to the next part, that is the water content. So before you look at the following paragraphs, I want you to think briefly. 輕輕諗一諗啦。So when we talk about the water content, what is it going to affect? 佢會影響我哋啲乜嘢呢? What is it going to affect? So this time, it is going to affect the water content in blood. 佢會影響我哋嘅血液嘅嗰個 water content 啦。So that is also the water potential. Okay, so water content in blood and therefore the water potential of the body fluid. Okay, of the tissue fluid. 其實都會同樣影響㗎。Alright, so just a little reminder again. So this is related to your chapter 3 when we talk about the permeability. Okay, so for your information, water potential, we have two words. 其中一個咧就會講到係 higher water potential and lower water potential, right? So when would the water potential be higher? When there is more or less water? 當然好簡單啦 when there is more water. And the water potential will be lower when there is less water. Okay? But then there are two more difficult words. 有兩個難少少嘅字㗎。We are saying hypotonic and hypertonic. Hypotonic 嘅話 that means surrounding 嗰個位置 ，OK，for example， 呢個 solution there is a solution surrounding the cells, and if the solution has a higher water potential， 我就咁寫 WP 啦 ，alright， I'll just put down WP。If the solution has a higher water potential, then it is so-called hypotonic. 自己多讀啦 ，hypotonic. And then on the other hand, that word is hypertonic. Hypertonic means the solution is having a lower water potential compared to the body cells. 相比個 cell 嚟講，係有個 lower water potential 嘅。Okay? Again, for more information, you can go back to chapter 3 and look at the details. Okay? 好啦 so as we know, the water content in blood will affect your water potential of your tissue fluid. And when we talk about the movement of water, 啲水點樣喐嗰陣時啦 it will mainly move by osmosis. 咁就靠呢個過程啦 This is the process name. Okay? So when there is too much water, you will know that the cells, what cell is in our body? 我哋 body cell 係 plant cell or animal cell? Very easy, 就當然 animal cell 啦。When there is too much water entering, our cells will burst. And when there is too little water, 太少水嗰陣時咧 so normally we'll say that the animal cells will shrink. Okay, that's all. So, however, we need to know the effect. So the cells will shrink, so what? 接落嚟發生咩事啊 The metabolism will actually slow down or even stop when there is too little water. 太少水嗰陣時就會甚至停低咗呢個嘅 metabolism. Of course, that is not a good thing for our body. Alright? Okay, so last part, what is regulating the water inside our body? 係 whole body. Okay? That will be the kidneys. Okay? 就係我哋嘅腎臟啦。Okay, so I'll explain more why is it talking about blood but not like tissue fluid directly. 點解會講係 water content 嘅 blood 而唔係一個嘅 tissue fluid 嘅 water 咁樣呢 Alright, 遲啲再講啦。And then moving on to the third part, 第三個部分啦 that is about the gas content. So when we talk about the gas, very easy. Which two gases are we going to discuss? Must be oxygen and carbon dioxide. So therefore you will see that there are two paragraphs, mainly. One is talking about the oxygen, the other one is talking about the carbon dioxide. So before you look at the paragraphs, 喺你睇呢個段落之前啦 so why is oxygen important? 點解咁重要啊 Let's see if you can answer me with the keyword respiration. Alright, 咁你睇下你答唔答到呢樣嘢啦 So first of all, when we talk about the oxygen, it's very important because it is involved in respiration. 佢係參與緊呢一個嘅呼吸作用嘅 Okay, so remember, respiration is not the same as breathing. Okay? The respiration is a process to release energy. And what is the word formula for your information? It is food plus oxygen going to become carbon dioxide and water. Okay? Shouldn't use and, but plus. Okay? So as you can see, oxygen is involved. 佢係一個 reactant. 佢係一個 raw material 嚟嘅 for your respiration. Okay? So in respiration, we will produce or we will release energy. 好啦 so therefore the oxygen content in blood is very important because when we do not have enough oxygen, and then we will release less energy because there is not much respiration, right? 太少 energy 啦 And therefore, remember, one part of our body is very sensitive to the oxygen content. 對於呢個氧嘅需求啦 is very sensitive, 好敏感嘅 and that is our brain. So without like a few minutes of oxygen, we will simply be dead. 係即刻會死咗㗎啦 Alright? So the next part, we're going to talk about the carbon dioxide. So no way, carbon dioxide is not involved in respiration, right? Indeed, it is not involved in respiration. You can see that the carbon dioxide is actually a product. 佢係一個產物嚟㗎 So therefore, respiration is not important anymore when we talk about carbon dioxide. But what is so important? 其實就係 when it dissolves in blood. And in fact, it is not dissolving in blood directly. 其實係 it dissolves in the water in blood. Okay, so our blood contains a lot of water, right? So after this reaction happens, the carbon dioxide dissolves in the water, and what would they form? First of all, they will form this one. So this is an ion. It is free and a negative. I'll draw it in the white blackboard later, or you can also go back to chapter 8 to look at this formula. It is important, okay? 比較重要啊。So this is a negative. That means this is an ion. 係佢一個離子嚟嘅。And other than this ion, there will also be an H plus ion. Okay? And what we're going to focus is this H plus. Because if you remember, have a good memory, then I would say that this H plus ion, 呢個 H 正嘅 ion 啦，or we say hydrogen ion 啦, is acidic. It is going to make our blood acidic. Okay? But remember that this reaction is actually reversible. 即係代表 CO2 plus H2O can become this two. 調轉返啦 this two will get back to CO2 and H2O. Okay? But with more CO2 in our body, okay, 當太多 CO2 嗰陣時 it will produce more H plus ion, hydrogen ion. And therefore our blood will become more or less acidic. 係 more acidic 㗎。When our blood becomes more acidic, just a little reminder, so your pH will be lower or higher. Your pH will be lower. Okay? So of course this one is not good for our body. Why? Again, 原因就係乜嘢啊? Because when it dissolves in blood, more H plus ion, and therefore decreasing the pH of the blood, and therefore affect enzyme activity. Why enzyme again? 點樣有關 enzyme 先啊? So remember chapter 4, we also said that they have a narrow range of temperature, and this time, 呢一次啦，佢就有一個 narrow range of pH. Alright? So this one, we are going to use both, we're going to regulate the amount of oxygen and carbon dioxide by mainly breathing and heart rate. 咁我哋就會用個呼吸啦，同埋一個 heart rate 去regulate 去控制翻呢個 oxygen and carbon dioxide 嘅。Okay, so just one last very simple example. It's like after you run for a long time. 當你跑完一個長跑之後 and your breathing, what will happen to it? You'll breathe harder, stronger. Okay? 你會嘗試去 keep on breathing harder and stronger. And that is about breathing part. What about your heart rate? 咁你嘅心跳呢 it will also be beating faster and stronger. 佢同樣地咧都會快啲同埋強啲㗎。And this, why does this happen? 點解會發生呢樣嘢呢? The reason is, it's trying to get more oxygen into your body and release more carbon dioxide out. At the same time, breathing 只係 going to into your lung 啫，只係去到你個肺部。But the heart rate is very important because it is going to carry the oxygen from the lung to all parts of your body. At the same time 啦，佢都係 carry carbon dioxide from all parts of the body. 然後啦就 release into your lung. 然後啦就會 exhale 咗啦，就會去呼出咗啦。Okay, so therefore breathing and heart rate will be regulating the gas content in blood. And therefore two systems are involved. 有兩個嘅 system 啦。Breathing 就當然係 breathing system 啦。Heart rate 嘅話，we don't use beating system， 唔係打人啊 ，OK？ So we use circulatory system， 自己當讀啦。Circulatory system. Okay, so this is the last part. Okay, so this is the blood glucose level in blood, and this part we're going to focus talking about it in this chapter. 我哋會集中講呢一個位置㗎。In book 5, we're not going to teach this one. We're going to teach another regulation, and that is about hormone. 係 female sex hormone 啦，或者 male sex hormone 嘅。Alright. So anyways, 好啦，喺個 glucose level 嗰度啦。So glucose level is very important. We need to maintain them. Why? Again, 因為 glucose is actually readily how do I say that? Readily used up for respiration. 佢係一個 nutrient source 嚟嘅，佢係一個營養嚟㗎嘛。Alright, so it's readily used up for your respiration 嘅。However, at the same time, we're going to say that the glucose is soluble. Okay, soluble in water. Why is it soluble? 其實 most monosaccharides 同埋 disaccharides 咧 they are soluble， 即係講緊嘅係單糖、雙糖啦。Monosaccharides and disaccharides. So both of them are soluble in water. Okay, but then one last thing. I would like to drag you back to chapter 9 or 10, okay? And that is about the plants. I hope that you can remember what kind of sugar is transported in plants. 究竟邊一種嘅 sugar 係會 transport in plants 嘅呢？ And the answer is sucrose. And one of the reasons is because it is also soluble in water. 佢都仍然係 soluble in water 嘅，而且 it will not be used up immediately. 佢唔會即刻俾人消耗咗 in respiration. Okay, so in plants, it's going to be used as the sugar to be transported to all the other parts, which cannot carry out photosynthesis. 得唔得？咁 photosynthesis 就係 produce sugar 啦 ，produce fruit 嘅啦。Alright, but not all parts of the plants can produce fruit, right? So therefore, it is going to be transported to all the whole plants. 去到成棵嘅植物嗰度啦 ，and the form of sugar being transported 嗰個形態啲乜嘢咧 ？It is sucrose. OK， 好啦，咁然後 the last thing，咁我哋就會講到啦。It is soluble in water, but when our blood has more has more glucose， 當有多啲 glucose 嗰陣時 ，that means the water percentage 嗰個水嘅百分比就會係 increase 咗定係 decrease 咗咧 ？The water percentage, of course, it will decrease， 就會少咗啦，低咗啦 ，and therefore the water potential will also be lowered， 就會降低咗啦。So we will know that it can also affect the water potential of blood. Okay? And therefore, based on two reasons. First of all, 我要去有一個 steady supply of energy 啦 ，due to your respiration 啦，得唔得 ？Respiration 係 release energy 噶嘛。咁另外一樣嘢啦 ，another thing is I want to regulate the water potential of blood. So therefore 啦 we will also need to regulate the blood glucose level. 我哋需要去維持一個血糖嘅水平嘅。Alright, and this regulation is mainly brought by 主要係嚟自邊兩個嘅咧 ？One of them is pancreas， 自己就讀啦 ，pancreas 就係我哋嘅胰臟啦 ，and liver 就係肝臟啦。So that's all about this 18.1, and now I will start counting down 5 seconds, and we will start finishing these two questions. Alright, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. So question 1 and number 2, okay, we'll try to finish these two questions. 咁我哋見到啦 ，question number 1佢就話啦，邊樣嘢 best describes please underline all the time, okay 係 best describe your homeostasis 啦，係講緊 body temperature 嘅。Alright, so how do we regulate body temperature by homeostasis? 當然啦，第一樣嘢 keep body temperature higher than external temperature. External 係解外在嘅 ，and the opposite of internal, okay? So keeping our body temperature higher than external, not really. Okay, perhaps you think so these days in winter. 喺冬天嗰陣時，你或者會咁樣覺得嘅 ，but that is not true. Okay, 好啦 and then make it lower than external temperature, also not true. Maybe you think that it's true in summer, but not always the case. Okay, 好啦 keep it the same as your external temperature 係維持一模一樣嘅 then in that case I don't need to regulate. Alright, 喺咁嘅情況之下我就唔需要 regulate 啦。And then, here I would like to remind you two things. One of them we say is warm-blooded, and the other one is cold-blooded. Okay, so we're not trying to say 冷血殺手嗰種啊 okay? It's not like the villain being cold-blooded. Okay, so for example, the human, mammals, let's say mammals better. Okay, mammals, birds. These types of animals or vertebrates, 呢啲嘅脊椎動物啦 they are warm-blooded. Okay, so we have our homeostasis and regulate the internal environment. 嘗試去維持一個穩定嘅內在環境嘅。However, for most other vertebrates, like for example fish 啦what else? Reptiles 啦 reptiles 即係一個爬行類啦，同埋 the last one is amphibians. So amphibians, all three of these, they are cold-blooded, and by that means they are having the same temperature as the external temperature. Okay, 佢哋維持同外在環境一模一樣㗎。So you can think about why in under cold temperature 喺一個凍啲嘅環境嗰陣時 why are the fish, the reptiles, the amphibians, why are they not really moving? Okay, so the answer is very obvious. And the answer is D， 咁就係 keep 一個 relatively constant body temperature 啦。But we need to know this word， 指到度啦 ，irrespective。咁 we have always asked you the word respective 啦，就代表分別地啦，係咪啊 ？So irrespective means regardless， 咁就係唔理啦，不論嘅意思啦。不論 regardless of the external temperature， 不論個 external temperature 係點樣都好啦 ，we will try to maintain a relatively constant body temperature. So this one is so-called the homeostasis. Alright? So question number 2, you just need to be like careful, alright? Do not think too much. 佢就話啦，邊一個 organ 係解器官啦 alright? So it's involved in 呢一個嘅 homeostasis, but this time we're not talking about temperature, we're talking about water potential in blood. 去維持到，去控制到我哋嘅 water potential 嘅咧 the answer of course very obvious is kidneys. But then you will try to think a bit. Lungs, of course the answer is no. So number 3 must be wrong. A or B. 咁我哋就可能諗啦 pancreas. I think you said about pancreas is also going to affect the water potential in blood as well. 佢影響呢一個嘅 blood 嘅 water potential 喎 right? And that is true. 其實 pancreas 係會 affect 係會影響到呢一個嘅 water potential in blood. But then look at the question more carefully. This time we're talking about regulation. 佢調節、控制。So pancreas at most 最盡啦 it is only going to affect 呢一個影響到呢個 water potential in blood, but it's not going to regulate. 佢唔會係控制到呢個 water potential 㗎。So therefore the answer is A for this one. Okay, just not think too much. That's all for this video, and I'll see you in the next one talking about 18.2. So one last message is that 18.2 I'm going to divide it into 2 parts. Alright, I'll talk more about this in the next video. Bye bye.